So you know the frustration with the 40. So they did a movie recently called The Planet. I don't know what the hell the name of that movie was, but it's about how, was it called The Planet Earth that Michael Moore produced? Anyway, and it's about how we did 50 years of Earth days and the environment is worse off than when we started.
I think
So
Planet of Humans.
The Planet of Humans. So what we're doing now doesn't work. So after 40 years of voting for the lesser of two evil, we've got Donald Trump. And now we got the worst candidate ever in the history of my lifetime, Joe Biden, against Donald Trump. So doing this over and over again is what they call insanity. And yet people like Noam Chomsky will tell you to do it. People like Michael Parenti won't tell you to do it. Howard Zinn wouldn't tell you to vote. The guys like Chris Hedges won't tell you to vote, do that. But Noam Chomsky will for some reason, and he's wrong. He's wrong. He's fucking really wrong. And here he is. He's going to get confronted by a black woman, Brianna Joy. What's her name? Brianna Joy Gray? Is that her name?
Yes.
And she was the press secretary for Bernie Sanders. And she was given an order not to come on this show, so she didn't. But here she is. She's the only other person I've seen who has this position that I have, that voting the lesser of two evil. But it's not. That's the point is, it's not the lesser of two evil. Bill Clinton was not the lesser of two evil. And so I'm gonna show you why. But here's him being pushed back on by a black woman about this ridiculous voting strategy and hoping for a better result. We've been doing this for 40 years, and it finally gave us Donald Trump against a guy who's probably further to the right than Donald Trump, Joe Biden. That's where we're at. That's what voting for the lesser of two evil gets you. And as Lawrence O'Donnell said, you can't do that. If you vote for the lesser of two evil, they'll never listen to you ever. And then you just get full-on fascist right-wing corporatism. And apparently Chomsky doesn't know this, but he's going to get it explained to him right now.
Now we have a simple question. Do you want your grandchildren to survive? I think the people you're talking to say, yes, I want my grandchildren to survive.
So many people's grandchildren are already not surviving.
Yes,
That's the issue.
You want to ensure that they'll live underwater or have a chance to survive.
So many people aren't thinking about living underwater because they're incarcerated or they're unhomed.
Then as an activist, your goal is to get them to think about it, because that is what is at stake.
So this perfect. Rebecca Bitton has it perfect. She goes, he wants activists to convince people who are drowning that fear of future drowning should motivate them to vote for those contributing to their current drowning. So Joe Biden is the reason why people are in prison. Joe Biden is the reason why people are in medical bills debt, in student debt. They can't find bankruptcy protection because of Joe Biden. People are screwed hard. People got kicked out of their house in 2010 because of Joe Biden. People are hurting because of Joe Biden. And Noam Chomsky says you have to vote for that guy who's making your life horrible right now because it might be more horrible later. But he's going to continue making your life horrible. So I'm guessing Chomsky was referring to they're going to be underwater. He's talking about climate change. I don't know if you know, but Joe Biden determined to not ban fracking. He's not listening to the science. This idea that somehow if you vote for Joe Biden, we won't have fucking climate change anymore. It's so beneath Chomsky. This argument is really beneath him. And it just goes to show you this is why he's an academic and not a general. He never won a war or a battle as far as I ever knew. He's got great ideas and he's good at articulating the problems. His solutions are not correct. Manufacturing consent was a fucking such a needed piece of work. And his critiques of the system are so unbelievably needed. His solutions, wrong. That doesn't mean, because he's good at identifying the problem, doesn't mean he's good at the solutions. And he's 100% wrong on this one.
Some might say Noam Chomsky has become what he used to debate against.
You're correct, Steph. The job of an activist right now, Noam Chomsky, is to force societal change through direct action. That's what the job of an activist is right now. Not to voter shame, voter bully, and to run interference for corporate right-wing fascists like Joe Biden. Selling Joe Biden is like selling a mirror to a person. I mean, a blind car, or Anyway, the thing is, Here's the problem, Noam, and here's what Noam should be saying. Instead, he's not. This is what he should be saying.
The kind of politics we have now, where the left is represented by this kind of Obama-Macron-style centrism, where you're both for the market and for bureaucracy at the same time, is kind of horrible, right? The only possible appeal of that kind of politics is, well, at least they're not Nazis, right? So what they want is the left to be this kind of mishmash of bureaucratic market centrism, and the right to be outright fascist. To set the ball rolling in an actual left direction will make that centrism look like utterly unappealing. In France, sometimes they talk about the extreme center, and I think that's a fitting phrase. It strikes me that what's called the moderates are the most immoderate people possible. And the reason why they're so uncompromising, I think, is because they realize they don't have a lot of positive arguments. They're not really for anything. I mean, somebody like Obama, the reason he worked was because he looked like the kind of guy who would have a vision. He acted like a visionary. He had the intonation. He had the way of standing and looking into the distance like he really believed in something. And it shows you something about just how much visionary politics has been killed. It didn't even seem to occur to people to ask what his vision actually was, right? Because it turns out, insofar as he had a vision, his vision was not to have a vision. He believed in pragmatism and compromise and so forth. And that's what the center has been reduced to. It's become this pure set of performative symbols. And at the same time, you get to feel morally superior, which is ultimately what centrism, what liberal centrism is all about, is the ability to feel better than other people. So there is a kind of a
So when you see Andy Richter and Judd Apatow and all the other blue check Hollywood smug fucks and the producer of The Simpsons go on Twitter or wherever, they're just doing that to make themselves feel morally superior to Trump voters. And that's what centrism and neoliberalism is all about. To make themselves feel superior to someone else. And that's what it is. Their smugness flies right the fuck off them. It flies right off them. They can't conceal it. They can't help it. It's who they are.
What liberal centrism is all about, is the ability to feel better than other people. So there is a kind of a symbiosis whereby the right wing pretend to be stupid, like George Bush II sort of perfected this, like I'll act like a yokel. All of the liberals will make fun of me as an idiot. Everybody who resents the sort of cultural elite for having monopolized all the good jobs will look at them sneering at me and say, yeah, I bet those guys feel the same way about me as they feel about Bush. I'll vote for Bush. Ha ha ha, stick it to him, right? That shtick, Trump is just doing it in a more extreme version of the same thing. Johnson's doing the same thing. You act like an idiot, the people who are sort of educated elite make fun of you, and it works. Now, who's really the idiot, right? People keep falling for the same stupid trick over and over and over again. There's a symbiotic relationship between these centrists, who are just sort of sneering elitists, and these guys who are the scam artists, who pretend to be yokels, who pretend to be idiots, or pretend to be fascists. They're not even real fascists. They're kind of phony fascists. They are trying to set up a situation where those are the only two viable political choices, because they both feed off and complement one another.
There's actually a little more to what he has to say. That guy just died. So here's a little bit more. Listen to this.
The last election in the UK showed anything, it's that the existing media is not our friend. We need to create media that will actually allow other voices to come out and to talk about what's really going on. Double Down News on Patreon is one of the ways that we are trying to create alternative media. This is something you can do to help.
Unfortunately, that guy died. Wow, how insightful. Very insightful. That's how insightful. Hey, the Arctic is in death spiral. How much longer will it exist? I don't know. Let's try to revive it with some drilling, because Joe Biden opened up the Arctic to drilling twice, Noam Chomsky. I don't know if you know that. If you're worried about being underwater, Noam Chomsky, Joe Biden's administration opened the Arctic to drilling twice. There's fracking pipes underneath this country because of Joe Biden's administration.
Economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support that?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well.
The Green New Deal, it's great and it's efficient, and if you want it, go vote for the other Biden. So this is the guy who's supposed to keep you from underneath the water, Chomsky? This is the guy.
I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Yeah, he lies about you a lot, Joe. He says you'll ban fracking. He also says you're a socialist who are going to give people health care. Boy, wouldn't that be great if some of Donald Trump's lies were actually true about you? Wouldn't that be great if his lie about you that you're going to ban fracking was actually true? Or that lie about you that you're a socialist who's going to give people health care? Wouldn't that be great? It would be. If Biden wins, how long before, quote, push him left once he's elected? Turns into, stop criticizing Biden. We can't fight like this with midterms coming up. Besides, he's inherited this mess from Trump. He can't fix everything at once. I love that stupid idea of we can push Joe Biden to the left after he's elected when you can't push him to the left before he's elected. When he actually needs your vote, you can't push him. What makes you think you're going to push him afterward? Just wishful thinking, you children. We can push someone to do what we want after we give them the only thing they want from us, which is our vote. That sounds like someone with a good grasp on things, real chokehold on how politics works. We're going to get him to do stuff after we give him the only thing he wants from us. Confirm Barrett and then push your left. Chomsky trends every 4 years because it's the closest liberals can get to speaking to the left's manager. I just hope people realize getting rid of Trump is the beginning, not the end. Yes, me too. Here's Chomsky one more time.
I mean, I spend many hours a night answering letters, and a fair number of them are from very sincere, very concerned, mostly young people who are asking that question. Can you give me advice about what I should do? I can't stand what's going on. I'd like to do something about it. What should I do? And it's a very frustrating, it's a question which reveals a pathology in the society. The idea that you should ask somebody who is up on high for some reason to tell you what to do. That's not the way it works. You've got to find out for yourself what to do, and nobody can give you advice. Not me, not Bertrand Russell, who's up there, not anybody. It's a highly personal matter. You know as much as anyone else does, maybe not all the details about how the economic system works, but you know what matters. You have choices. We have people like us have, by comparative and historical standards, have an unbelievable amount of freedom and privilege, means plenty of opportunities, which makes it harder because you don't have narrow choices. And you just have to find your own way. I mean, I never gave advice to my own children. And if I had, they wouldn't have paid any attention to it rightly. They just found their own ways, very interesting ways. There'll be a lot of false starts, inevitably. You can learn from the failures and you try other things, and sooner or later you find something that works for you. It's not there's no right answer for everyone. It's very different right answers. Lots of things that can be done. So you have to find it for yourself.
So I'm with that, Chomsky. Very much like Bernie Sanders, he said very different things before. Bernie Sanders said you got to vote. We need to have a progressive revolution in America, and we need a third party, and it has to happen outside the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders used to say that in the 90s all the time. And then they made him part of the club. They gave him a chairmanship and a committee. They promised not to run anybody against him so he can keep his Senate seat. And he was all of a sudden like, oh, you got to vote blue. Fuck it. So that's the Chomsky I listen to. And it's funny, there's a lot of people who get so upset that I won't vote for Joe Biden or the Democrats anymore. And they really want to suppress my voice. It drives them nuts that they can't. And what they used to say was, oh, you're just voting for Bernie because you're in a cult. You guys are in a cult. Anything Bernie says, Bernie's your hero. And so then as soon as Bernie stopped saying what he was saying, we didn't listen to him anymore. And they're like, why don't you listen to Bernie? I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you didn't like it when we were in a cult. Now we don't listen to Bernie. By the way, it was never a cult. I didn't become in a cult of Bernie. Bernie fucking picked up what we wanted. We liked Bernie because Bernie was saying what we liked. And as soon as Bernie stopped saying what we liked, 4 people show up to hear him talk. No one could give a shit about him. He's our tool. We're not his. Bernie's useful for us when he's useful for us. And when he's not, we get rid of him. We discard him. Do you see anybody showing up to his speeches for Joe Biden? Did anybody show up to his speeches for Hillary Clinton? No. It's not a cult. It's a movement, and it's bigger than Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders failed us. He failed us. Bernie Sanders failed us and continues to do so. Bernie Sanders wanted to end his career by being the biggest failure he could possibly be. Throwing his movement under the bus into the support of the problem while not fighting for health care in the middle of a pandemic. And voting for the largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of humankind during the middle of a pandemic, and then lied to you that he helped you, and he didn't. He didn't get you that $600 in the CARES Act. That wasn't him. He lied to you because he knew he fucked up. I'll listen to that guy. And I'll listen to the 1990s Bernie Sanders. I'm not listening to these guys. Something happens. They get older. They get afraid of their legacy. I don't know what it is. But they're advocating for bullshit. And I won't play that game. Should be listening to this guy. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.